All right.
Started recording, I guess.
So, as the sun goes down on yet another day in this wonderful, strange city, Drew, what are you up to? And if you could give us a short description of your character.
So Drew, although I should probably ask you, because I didn't really get an answer, is it more of a graveyard place that's got the haunts hanging around, or is it somewhere else?
There are graveyards definitely in the city. They're the easiest bit to find ghosts, and there are ghosts wandering about occasionally, but...
Fair. So Drew, dressed in he's got a kind of a dark gray, it's partly robe-ish, but I mean it still has like loose pant legs going on as well. He's seated towards one side of a graveyard, and he's having conversations with these entities that nobody else would be able to see unless they were also somehow have some special sight to see the dead. He has no hair, head is shaven, kind of plain features and pretty pale skin, and his manner is quite friendly to these invisible beings.
All right, so your conversations, they go about as well as ghost conversations can go. You know, some of the dead are talkative, some aren't. Just like people. What would shape up to be a relatively normal night. Till shortly after the sun finally sets. There's a bit of commotion in the streets. You can see cars quickly moving, people running down the sidewalks. Not a whole lot of yelling, but people are moving away from things. Which is odd. Generally, the city is fairly calm from what you've seen here. You know, pondering this for a moment, it becomes pretty clear what's going on when a gunshot rings out down the block.
So Drew will excuse me to the ghosts and pop up and not run, but briskly make his way towards the sound.
Okay, we'll come back to him in a moment and see what he sees. Kalmir.
Yes.
If you could give us a short description of your character and what you've been doing as the sun sets on this day.
Sure. Well, Kalmir, he's dressed in furs and leathers. He's got long, scraggy hair, a beard, and has what looks like a rather large wolf with him. And he's been spending the day, hot sun, doing some work on a farm because that's what he knows the most, and it's easy for him. So he's just been doing some farming, getting some food growing. He doesn't know what kind of food this is that he's working with, but he's seen some people eating it, so he's gonna work on that.
Yeah, it is certainly easier to get the work in once the sun has set. It's quite cooler at night. So, you have been on the outskirts of the city. And as I mentioned it to you before, but just mentioning it kind of publicly for the sake of viewers. The people that live on the outskirts of the city are noticeably different from the ones you originally saw when you poofed into existence in the city. The people out here are far more varied and diverse in their backgrounds, clothing, and activities. And they all seem to share a common distrust of the city proper. Now, not that anyone else will probably see it immediately, but these people also have souls still. They tend to pay you not a whole lot of mind. As far as to them, you're just another person stuck here. But you do overhear people talking quite loudly and panickingly on basically what are essentially old radios. They're being warned of something coming through the city towards them. And they're being told you should probably keep your heads down until we can deal with this. Now, they don't mention what this thing is. But Kalmir, I need you to give me a perception check.
Alrighty.
Perception is wits composure. 3 successes.
No one else has noticed it yet, but you certainly see the creature quickly running through the distant trees. A large bipedal shadow, almost, sprinting from tree to tree. It's not coming directly at the people here, or you, and it's trying to stick to the tree line, but it's going to run out of tree line eventually. Someone's going to see it. And we're going to jump quickly to Cherry. Could you give us a quick description of your character and what you've been doing on this dusk?
Well, I'll be honest, Cherry doesn't have a physical description yet. I'm working on that. Besides that, Cherry is a Cherry is a girl who appears very she's very she's ve- she's very monotone. She doesn't appear to react much to anything going on, and she's mostly just following behind her far more expressive companion in terms of everything else. Her eyes dart around, but largely visibly she does not appear to react much to anything at all. In contrast, her companion looks around almost feverishly at a lot of things. Things with a with with a reporter's uniform and with a reporter's uniform and with a reporter's uniform and a and a notepad taking notes of basically everything that's happened the last few the last few days that they've been here. They've been mostly looking around trying to figure out what's going on and try and see anything interesting going on as well as obviously avoiding cheer on agents, which are still a problem. But largely, Rose and by extension Cherry are mostly just at this point looking around and trying to find things.
Well, that looking around certainly doesn't take long. As you guys wander the streets, just looking for anything out of the ordinary, you see a similar scene to what Drew saw. People panicking, running down the streets, cars quickly breaking all traffic laws to get away. But instead of a gunshot breaking the silence. What you hear around the street corner is quite the deafening howl that splits the night.
Cherry's eyes dart, or, huh, a howl, I'd howl something, like, like, given the commotion, it likely isn't a natural animal. It is probably worth examining.
And
Okay,
examine it you will. But for
she waits
now,
for Cherry's response at them.
yeah. But let's
Road-
jump quickly
okay.
to Stahl. Could you give us a description of your character and what you've been doing this night?
So, he's a above average man. You know, basically, wears a collared shirt that's a bit worse for wear. You know, he has a bit of a, I wouldn't say a beard, but it's certainly coming in. Longish hair. You know, tan skin. I'm not really good at describing characters all that well, but yeah. He just came out from his one of his side jobs working as a bouncer for, I guess, what they call drinks in this world. I'm currently heading toward my main job as a bodyguard for I don't really know where he's from. It's just, sorry. I just, help out every now and then. Anyway, every evening I'm supposed to show up, and then he just gives me orders and I just follow. That's essentially our entire transaction.
Yeah, so you're heading towards your employer's home, essentially, as that's probably where he is. Well, the streets are noticeably empty. Even at night, people are still walking around, even in this part of town. And it does strike you as a little odd. What strikes you as even more odd is the car that it comes swerving around the street corner and into a building. On top of that car, latched onto it, well, not latched on anymore, as it was quite thrown off as the car impacted into concrete, is a large, almost bipedal wolf that gets thrown through a window as the car crashes, essentially. The driver of this car very quickly jumps out and starts sprinting the opposite direction down the road. You thought maybe it's over for a second when the wolf thing does kind of reach a hand back through the window trying to claw its way out. Vitus. You jerk awake, as is typical for your kind in your home. Could you give us a description of what your character looks like?
Yes. I am a man, roughly about 5'11", salt and pepper hair, full beard with flecks of white in it. Very clearly I was embraced a little bit into my late 40s, early 50s. My suit is impeccably well made. Tie, matching. Impeccable taste, as any Roman senator would be.
But yeah, you awake to your room. Presumably your children are off doing whatever it is they're doing at the time. And you thought perhaps it's going to be another normal night. As you kind of get up, walk through your home, well, that hope of a normal night is quickly shattered when the window shatters as a gunshot also rings out across the street from your home.
I'm assuming this is going on in a different room, so I'm going to move rather quickly to said room to inspect what the hell just decided to make a new door in my place.
Well, not really a door, but your window is effectively shattered. It's ruined. I mean, it's glass. Glass doesn't hold up to a bullet very well. But just gazing outside, you can very quickly see the culprits. A group of 4 armed individuals are sprinting down the street, taking pot shots at something down the street. Presumably, they missed when they hit your window.
My character groans as he moves out into the street to try and to see get a better look at what they look like and what exactly they were shooting at. Both.
Well, they look pretty, well, to a man of your taste, pretty, ragged. They very clearly are not impeccably dressed. They're wearing numerous different things. One guy is running around in effectively a sweatshirt. Another guy just has a t-shirt, some jeans on. But they all do have effectively like a chest rig and a rifle as they move down the street almost in a tactical formation, which you wouldn't really expect judging on their appearance. Just looking out the window down the street towards what they're moving at, you only catch a glimpse of it, but you catch a glimpse of a large, basically just mass of fur as it turns the corner.
I'm going to go ahead and tail them. I'm not even gonna attempt to be stealthy, that's just not my way. But I am going to kind of follow them at a distance. Not making it... Well, it is clear that I'm following them, but I'm hoping they're too busy to honestly pay attention to me.
Yeah. Alright. Drew. As you step out towards the street to investigate the sound of the gunshot, you don't even get to the street before another almost volley fires off. Very shortly after this volley, well, I don't want to say screams, but it is a scream. You turn the corner to see a large wolven creature effectively hit the pavement.
You'll kind of like peek out around the corner because it seems as though more rounds aren't going to be flying if this thing has hit the pavement and gone down. So he, peeks and looks around the corner to see like what has been doing the shooting and what else is going on besides this thing hitting the ground.
Yeah, you see a very similar sight to what Vitus saw. A group of 4 individuals, very not really professionally dressed. They're very rugged appearance. This group is more, however, they look more equipped. Not just just a chest rig. They do appear to have like backpacks, more like almost cargo pants, essentially for carrying stuff. Again, they are equipped with rifles. A group of 4 people. As they still seem on alert as they're walking towards the body, guns up.
Well, he will, if they are still looking like they're out for blood, he's going to duck back around the corner just to stay out of sight, but stay there so that he'll be able to hear what's going on at the very least.
Yeah. What you hear is a little worrying. The sound of, well, cracking bone is quite loud on a quiet street where everyone's run away. I don't know if Cineators have enhanced hearing, so I don't really know how well you hear it. Like I don't think they do, but
No, they don't.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so you definitely hear bone cracking. You can't hear, well, a body being almost dragged on pavement before that ends and they start speaking over presumably a radio, because they don't appear to be talking to each other. All that said is, one down, we're moving to the next one that we can find.
And I imagine there will be the sound of departing footsteps.
Yes, as they move down the street quite with some purpose in their steps. Not in a full sprint, but they're jogging.
So when they're kind of at a safe distance or even out of sight, he'll peek out to kind of watch them go. He's going to go investigate what has been downed.
How familiar is your character with other supernaturals?
Probably not very. From where he comes from.
Yeah. Okay. So essentially what you see, it's a little hard to, it's nothing you've seen before. It's a little hard to wrap your head around. But it is essentially a humanoid wolf, quite a large one at that. You're looking at roughly 7-8 feet of furry wolf person. Well, not quite as intimidating when it's on the pavement, but more noticeably is the large, almost silver, it appears silver, large, shiny, metallic, basically harpoon just embedded through the top of its skull.
So it's pretty dead then, I'm guessing.
It looks pretty dead.
So is its ghost sitting around, like over the body, or is the ghost gone, or?
How fast do ghosts appear? I very briefly read through Geist, so
I mean, if
they appear instantly after death, or
I mean, if the body is now uninhabitable, the ghost doesn't have a living body to inhabit anymore. I didn't honestly read any rules about how long it takes to appear after death.
Yeah,
I believe it happens. I haven't read Geese, but I have read other things. I believe it happens pretty much instantly, just due to the way that ghosts work. Though, yeah. Though I don't know if supernaturals generally produce ghosts is the main thing.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure on that, but I'm gonna say yes, there's a ghost here.
So yeah, Drew's going to let the ghost know that he can see it, and he's going to say, "What has happened to you?"
I mean, I imagine it's just a rank 1 ghost, which...
Violent deaths
So-
are especially good at making ghosts.
Yeah. So, this ghost is still... It's still a very large wolf thing. It does turn to acknowledge you. And it kind of looks down at its body, but... You're looking at its mouth, and you're not really sure if it can speak with a mouth like that.
Ghost speech doesn't depend on the structure of the mouth, though.
Fine. Make come up with this. Okay. Yeah, so I mean I was killed. You know.
Clearly, why?
If I knew, I would tell you. We were heading to the father, and I am dead now. This.
We. They said there were others they were going after. Would you like to help them?
Sorry, what'd you say? I just heard help them.
They said they were going after others, which I assume is the we that you were speaking of.
Yeah.
Would you like to go help them?
It kind of looks down at its body and looks at its ghostly self and could I even help them here now?
You can guide me and I can help.
It takes off running down the street.
Is there any like accessories on the body?
There's fur.
Drew is going to take a second. Clearly there's a ghost running away, but to take the harpoon, because the ghost is going to need an anchor, and the weapon that caused its death is a pretty damn good anchor.
Man, this is just an idle thought that it's related to nothing, but man, that sure is just going to be a dead body, just a regular ass human dead body relatively soon. knowing how dead werewolves work.
Normally. So yeah, the ghost takes running down the street, and well, you're gonna have to move if you want to keep up with it. Kalmir.
Yes.
This large, shadowy figure in the distance is very quickly running out of tree line.
Is it running towards the city or away from the city?
Away from the city.
Can I do I have a decent look at it, or is it still like in the trees and whatnot?
You'll get a decent look once it gets out of the tree line and into basically moonlight.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna keep my eye that way. He's gonna stop working, obviously, to see what that thing is.
Yeah, when it comes barreling out of the tree line, and much like I've described before, it is a large humanoid wolf, essentially. As it comes basically running on all fours, which is kind of awkward to look at, but it seems to be doing quite fine.
And what are the other people with the talking boxes doing?
They haven't noticed it yet.
Oh,
They're going to notice it as it's, barreling almost towards them. Even if it swerves around them, it's gonna make noise. They're gonna hear it eventually in a moment here.
okay. So quick lore / background question. What do I know about these people with the talking boxes? What do they do? Who are they? Are we generally on good terms?
They've accepted that you're a bit of an odd fellow, but they seem to be pretty aware that not a lot of people around here are different from each other. And, if they can't get along, they just don't go near you. These ones in particular, I mean, they work the land here too, essentially. Not all of them. Some faces you don't recognize, but people come and go. There are drifters, wanderers,
Okay.
but they're fairly independent. A lot of them live in this area, and I mean, this is a big farm. Multiple people can be working this land. Like, it'd be impossible for one person to claim this farm and say, this is mine. So they kind of tolerate each other's existence as they grow what food they can for themselves.
Okay. All right. So we're more of like a neutral status then.
Essentially, yes.
We stay out of each other's way. So I don't particularly know them all that well. So I'm gonna watch and see what happens, because it would be, I have no reason to intervene right now.
Yeah. Doesn't take a whole lot of watching before this wolf gets close enough that they hear it and very quickly spin around. You see one of them appear to draw some kind of object from his coat. It points it towards this galloping wolf almost. And it's quite loud. It's got like some thunder in this small object in his hand. Unfortunately, the thunder did not bring lightning with it, and this wolf runs through him. The rest of them are ducking for cover, and the wolf continues to go. The guy who got run over doesn't stand back up. Even from here, you can see, well, his chest is not fully intact. It should not extend as it does.
A little too red there.
But
was he with someone? Was there another guy there?
there were a couple other people there that just basically hit the ground. They just dived out of the way.
And then the wolf
We're
just
now...
went.
Yeah, he basically just ran over one. The others jumped out of the way and are now trying to figure out what just happened.
Okay. I'm going to approach them and ask them, what's going on? What's happening?
Some of them appear too panicked to even reply to you, but the one guy, as he kind of stands up, dusting off his shirt after he just jumped into the dirt, essentially, he's like, I thought they'd still be in the city. They just called about it.
Oh, from experience, I can say those things do run pretty quickly.
Oh, you're aware of them. I've only heard stories.
I mean, I haven't had many dealings with them, but in my village, they were a couple villages down. We'd interact on occasion, but we'd mostly stay out of each other's way.
They live in villages.
Where I'm from, they live in villages. So these tall villages, I don't know about.
The guy you're talking to almost kind of shakes his head in disbelief as he kind of turns to look back towards his, well, now dead acquaintance there, and this is like, I find it hard to believe that these monsters live in villages with each other.
You'd be surprised. They work very well together, just not so much well with others. Kalmir's gonna look at the body, trying to find what made that loud noise.
Some kind of very, weird, almost, what shape is a gun in? It's not like almost a triangular, like a strange triangle, if you even know what a triangle is. Some kind of odd stick. Very like
a tube with a stick on it.
Yeah, it's a very weirdly shaped gray stick.
Is it the small one or big one?
it's fairly small. You could probably hold it in your hand relatively comfortably.
All right, I'll reach down and pick it up.
You do not know gun safety.
I do not. So he just picks up by whatever he picks it up by.
I kind of want to call for like a D100 to see if you pick it up by the trigger, but no.
No, see if he picks it up somehow with his palm on the barrel and his finger on the trigger.
That wouldn't be an odd way to hold it. That'd be like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not how you pick things up. But one of the guys there is like, yeah, didn't really help, did it?
What makes it so loud?
Kind of looks at you a little puzzledly, and the gunpowder. It's kind of what propels the bullet.
And I've never seen something like this.
You
like
really aren't from around here. Well, no matter. Do you happen to have a shovel? We're gonna have to bury him.
Yes. Where is your burial grounds?
Wherever we're not using the ground.
You don't have special places?
You have graveyards exist.
Didn't have a family, and I'd be damned if I knew where a graveyard was around here. So we'll bury him on the farm where he lived. Could find no better place, I suppose.
Okay, it's nice to bury someone near where they live. That's good for the spirits.
Yeah, well, I can hope that wherever the hell we are, he can still find peace. As they all kind of disperse to go acquire digging utensils. Cherry.
Yes.
You guys turn this corner, and you do see the large wolven creature almost.
We can call it what it is.
Yeah.
She looks at this werewolf. Wolf. Huh. It appears we found something that appears to be a werewolf. What's it doing? Hey, that's out of character. What's it doing?
It appears to be standing on top of a car with a body under its claw.
Huh. That is. Hmm.
It doesn't
That
appear
is-
to be looking directly at you, but when it lowers its head from, howling, it probably will see you.
We should probably take cover. It would be best if we took cover. She says that, and then she.
The two of you quickly dive for cover as this thing finishes its little triumphant roar, and, well, you hear it impact the pavement as it jumps off the car. And, well, it picks up speed, and you see it quickly dash further down the street across basically the intersection.
Given our goals, it is likely best for us to follow that. Well, she's gonna run after it, presumably with Rose. As, as, it's like there's going to. It's just like that was a werewolf with the body under it. You know.
Yeah. So
Rose is-
you guys follow it as quickly as you can. It is faster than you can run. It just is. But it does eventually get kind of held up when, well, it reaches an intersection where it wants to go, and there appears to be a bus kind of jammed across the street. It almost stops in the intersection, wondering. It almost looks like it's wondering, why is there a bus here? When the gunshots erupt from the windows of the bus. It staggers for a moment, some of them missing at their target and ricocheting down the street near where you guys are running up. But it doesn't seem too fazed by the bullets, as it kind of very quickly diverts its course and dashes down a different street.
Well, I do not. There, the werewolf in Garu appears to be running. It would be best to follow it, I believe.
Almost immediately after it turns and runs down the street, you see the people firing from inside the bus almost leap out of the bus's windows and kind of. Not all of them land gracefully. There's 3 people jump out. One of them lands on his feet. Another one sort of stumbles, but gets their balance. And the third sort of does he falls on his ass. But they do get back up and quickly take off after this thing.
Cherry for half a second is going to pause. What do those people look like?
Fairly ragtag group of people. They all appear, actually, if you could call it a uniform, I guess it's a uniform, but they're all basically wearing cargo pants and like Hawaiian shirts with like a chest rig.
Nothing that raises red flags or anything. Just look like hunters of some variety. Eh. I suppose then, and she'll just be like, if it doesn't appear to raise any red flags, she'll continue running with Rose to try and figure out what's going on, I suppose, and also to follow this werewolf raging in Garu form for reasons unknown.
Okay. Stahl.
Hmm?
This large, I'll just call them werewolves. You probably don't know it's a werewolf, but the large wolf does slowly crawl almost out of the window and flops back into the street. It does kind of seem dazed as it sort of looks around and tries to reorient itself. And it doesn't really get much of a chance to figure out where it's coming from before it looks down the street, and so do you. There's another werewolf running down the street here. If you could give me a perception check, actually.
Sure. Me. That would be
Your wits and composure.
yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to roll with this. Do we have to make a new
So what you do, go to your character sheet on page 1.
Yeah.
And then if you go to the top right of it, there's like a box called Dice Roller.
Yeah.
If you just set it to Sheet Roll and Normal, you can... I know it says modifiers, but you can just roll any amount of dice. So you just add your wits composure.
Like the red dice.
Yeah, click the red dice. I'm pretty sure there is a way to just actually have it roll. I don't know if you can just roll a perception.
I'll just add that because there's like a little thing. Like I have like a shortcut thing which lets me.
Yeah, you could do it that way for common things, but I guess however you really want to do it.
I'll just do it like that.
Easiest way would just be to roll a set amount of dice, but
do. Okay. All right.
oh, wound penalty. Okay, I'm like, what does wound penalty even mean? But no, it's just it would. I guess the sheet expects you to kind of do things normally with those buttons, but I don't think we ever did. But yeah, no, 1 success. So you can very easily see the wolf running down the street. A little harder to see, but just because of how distant they are still. There are a group of 5 people also moving down the street. A little bit of, purpose in their steps. Even from here, you can see 4 of them appear to be armed. So, Vitus, you've been following this group of 4 for a little bit now. It wouldn't. I wouldn't even need you to make a perception check because they're not hard to see. They're werewolves in Garu form. But yeah, you can still see the one that these 4 people have been chasing. But you also see a second one kind of dazed next to a crashed car down the street. Even further down the street is quite a large, imposing figure, person, not a wolf this time. But even from here, you can recognize it. they're an employee of yours.
I make even from this distance, I make it known that I'm observing him, but I continue to move forward. I'm cautious though. My step slows down a little bit. I'm not comfortable around werewolves for reasons that he does not discuss at this time with anybody.
Yeah, I mean, you slow your step, and the hunters, admittedly, that's what they appear to be. These armed individuals, without even they're not looking at you. They probably don't even know you're following them at this point. But they'll sort of, slow down. Most of them crouch. One guy still says, "Stay standing." Well, I don't know why he does, but he does. And they take aim and quite quickly unleash a storm of lead down the street. The werewolf takes the brunt of this. Some shots miss and ricochet into the pavement, the buildings. Another window shatters down the street. But it doesn't seem all too phased. It's staggered, but it regains its gait and continues running and almost leaps up a building through a window. The hunters are kind of just left watching it as it jumps away from them and put their sights more on the dazed one down the street. At any point, if Stahl, you want to do anything because you're technically in this scene, you're just down the road, speak up.
I basically just eye my employer and try to, as best I can, maybe like take an indirect route to approach them, basically, so that I don't have to deal with that mess.
Okay. Yeah, it's not easy. You can kind of duck through an alley to come out on the other side of basically this intersection and sort of go around this wolf. And sticking to like the sidewalk, you can move around the hunters. They're preoccupied at the moment. Presumably, Vitus, you do see Stahl running down the street towards you.
Yeah, once he's within speaking range, I just kind of... I speak, not really to him, but more at him. Looks like it's gonna be one of those nights, eh?
At least it's not my fault this time.
True that. We have Wolfman running down the street. Look, at least it looks like the locals are trying to mop it up this time.
How do you want to handle it, boss?
I am somewhat intrigued. Unfortunately, I'm not going to go up and ask any of them. I feel like that would be folly. I wonder if they're gonna put down that other one. The one that's laying on the sidewalk. Let's give them a moment and let's see. I might be able to do something if they do put it out of its misery.
I doubt it'll be much of a mystery for much longer.
That suspicion is confirmed fairly quickly as these armed individuals move down the street, taking aim at this dazed wolf. And they fire. A lot. Multiple mags of ammunition are basically fired into this wolf. After the first, volley almost, it might have been dead. It did crumple to the pavement. They kept shooting. At this point, it's certainly dead. As they all kind of, take a step back, it appears they're taking inventory of what they still have on them. Before one of them does walk up to the corpse and kind of kick it in the, not kick it in the head, but kind of like push its head over just to see if it has any movement, reaction still, resistance. Even from here, you can see it doesn't. This is a body at this point.
Certainly a bit much, isn't it?
But the way those things are, probably not actually. They tend to get back up even after you've put them down.
From my experience, I could probably handle it pretty quick.
And at this, Vitus is actually gonna start making his way slowly towards the body, hoping that the group disperses before he actually gets there. So he'll control his gait as he moves forward.
Stahl looks a little disappointed at, because he really didn't want to do anything, but he follows behind just to make sure things go smoothly.
Yeah. This group does kind of disperse. One of them does kind of look over their shoulder at you, almost puzzled, before, turning back to the rest of them, the rest of his group, and they mutter amongst themselves as one of them pulls out what looks to be a radio. He basically just says, that's 4 now. How many more are we dealing with? As they kind of move down the street, cautiously taking aim at every little shadow they can see effectively.
Right, so once I get to this, I'm assuming it's honestly more just a mess of gore at this point.
It's still noticeably a body, but yeah, it's a little rough.
Now, I do actually have a question. My ability here allows me to see what they looked like, or what their actual appearance was before they died. How is this going to work on a shapeshifter? Just
given the way, I can probably give an answer to this. Though,
Well,
if you want to give it,
I can just make a ruling. I mean, that's just kind of my job as the GM here.
I'm just thinking.
But no, I mean, they are still a person underneath that, or they were, which is what you'd expect to see. You'd expect to see a person. You don't see a person. You see an undamaged version of this, basically, Garu werewolf.
okay, so I'm going to go ahead and use my discipline then, by reaching down and touching the cadaver and closing my eyes and concentrating on it. Okay. Let's see here.
Give me the roll.
Give me one. Nope.
Yeah, you're unsure if you just weren't concentrating hard enough, or this is a peculiar case.
I kind of stand back up and look in the direction they're heading. You heard that, right? 4 of these things?
Yeah, but I don't really think it's our business to get involved.
One night it's these furry junkies, adrenaline junkies, and the next night it's going to be me. I unfortunately can't agree with that assessment.
I'd probably deal with it when it comes to that, but I'd prefer to avoid any potentially needless confrontation, you know?
I don't plan on confronting anybody. You know that's not my style. But we still need to... If there's more of these things, I need to be certain they're either taken out or that they're nowhere near me.
I guess just give the order, I guess, but I,
You what?
never mind. Just give the order, I guess.
Let's continue on then. And Vitus begins to follow the retreating group of hunters.
Saul does the same as before and just follows behind, maybe muttering a curse or two.
You know
Okay.
those?
So, Drew, this ghostly wolf man has taken you on quite the wild chase across the city. Before eventually turning down an alley and kind of stopping at the entrance of this alley, essentially. Even without turning down the alley, you can smell the blood already.
So I'm guessing in the alley is another corpse.
In the alley, there are multiple corpses. However, they're not wolves this time. A group of 4 human corpses litter this alley, and at the end of the alley, behind a dumpster almost, you can see it, a crouched over furry mass. It still appears breathing. It's kind of rocking, shaking. It's alive, but it doesn't look too good.
And I imagine the wounds on the more humanoid-looking corpses are kind of bestial.
Yeah, they're torn apart. Arms are missing their torsos. Yeah, that sort of thing.
So Drew will look at his ghostly companion and gesture to the wounded wolf in the end there, and this is one of yours.
He nods for a moment. Not my family, but still our kind.
So Drew is still holding a gory silver harpoon casually. Will kind of slowly approach and in as non-threatening a manner as he can, and he's kind of waiting for kind of a recognition, like an acknowledgement that he's there. Like, he doesn't want to surprise it.
It does look up at you. And it's not getting up, because as you can get closer, you can see a very similar silver harpoon lodged in its lower abdomen. It every movement it makes sort of seems to pain it as it continuously grasps down at its, well, impalement. But
So
it does
Drew-
acknowledge you.
Drew will set the harpoon that he's carrying down and move to kneel down next to it with his, open, unthreatening hands, and try to examine the harpoon wound. Like, is this something that he'll be able to remove without causing a bunch more damage?